Hello, this lesson is the health, stress, and health tutorial. You access it by going to your Edmentum homepage, scroll down to Health, All Activities, Stress and Health, Stress and Health Tutorial.
Stress and health. In this lesson, you will weigh the importance of managing stress in order to maintain health. Introduction. Joan is running late for school. In her hurry, she forgets to close her bag. When she picks it up, it falls open and all the books spill out. No wonder she missed her bus. Mr. Smith has been preparing an important presentation for weeks. The night before this event, his daughter uses his laptop and accidentally deletes the presentation. Mr. Smith now has nothing to present at the meeting. Sarah is performing her first violin solo in a few days. She wants it to be flawless, so she practices day in and day out. She'd be so embarrassed to make a mistake in front of a huge audience. These scenarios are all causes for stress, although at varying levels. If we make small changes in our daily lives, we can help reduce stress. Sources of stress. Most of us associate the word stress with a negative feeling, but actually, stress isn't always bad. Stress is the reaction produced by our minds and bodies when we face a challenging situation. For example, we experience stress while running late for a class or minutes before an important sports match. Depending on the situation, stress can have either a negative or a positive impact on us. The tension that builds up before an exam pushes us to study harder. This is an example of positive stress, where the stress enhances our performance. On the other hand, if we have an unreasonable amount of work to do in a very short time, we may worry about it around the clock. All that worrying might result in sleepless nights. This is an example of negative stress, where the situation hampers our performance. Situations that cause stress in our lives are known as stressors. Let's take a look at some common stressors.
Major life changes, such as an illness in the family or a sudden change in lifestyle, are very common stressors. Small everyday mishaps, such as misplacing your keys, running late for class, or arguing with friends, also cause stress. Our stress levels can be affected by excess noise, crowds, and even air pollution. Biological stressors such as physical illnesses or disabilities can make us feel helpless and increase stress. Unhealthy personal habits, including drinking, smoking, drug abuse, and lack of physical exercise, produce negative physical reactions that can lead to stress. Witnessing a natural disaster can cause stress, as can a crime in the neighborhood. The way we perceive circumstances or events in our lives, negatively or positively, also affects our stress levels. Think about what causes you stress. Include positive, negative, minor, moderate, and major stressors. Write them down on paper or in the online notebook. Keep this list so you can come back to it later.
All right, select the correct answer. Which of the following situations is most likely to cause positive stress? Pete wrote down the wrong day for his Spanish test and he didn't prepare. He realized this blunder an hour before the test. Laura is very nervous about her first solo piano performance. She practices all day to get it perfect. Sammy was admiring her mother's diamond ring and now does not remember where she left it. She has been searching all over the house to find it. So, positive stress is one that increases your likelihood of a positive outcome. Laura practicing for her performance is stressful. However, it is positive stress because the outcome would be that she is more prepared, so she practices all day to get it perfect. Correct. The explanation, the stress has helped Laura improve her performance.
How your body processes stress. When we encounter a stressor, our bodies and minds react in a certain way. For example, imagine you are strolling in the park and suddenly notice a huge dog, unleashed and growling at you. You immediately process the outcome of the situation. I'll get bitten, and react. You turn around and leave the park. This response to stress is involuntary. The nervous system and the endocrine system are responsible for our response to stressors. We respond to every stressor we encounter in the same manner. First, by sizing up the situation, and then reacting accordingly. No matter what the stressor, our bodies and minds react to it in 3 stages: alarm, resistance, and fatigue. Alarm. Alarm is the first stage of stress response. When we encounter a stressor, we go on high alert because our bodies release a hormone called adrenaline. Adrenaline prepares the body to either fight the stressor, flee from it, or freeze. This stage is also known as the fight, flight, or freeze stage. In the alarm stage, we experience an increased heart rate, tightening muscles, increased perspiration, and dilated pupils. For example, imagine you poured too much soap into the washing machine. When you come back to check on the clothes, you find the entire basement floor flooded with soapy water. Your body instantly reacts to this sight. Your pupils dilate, your heart beats faster, and you might freeze in alarm, taking a few seconds before being able to plan a course of action.
The plan, a course of action, is the next stage.
Resistance. The next stage of stress response is resistance. In this stage, the symptoms from the alarm stage disappear, and we no longer feel stressed. Instead, the body acts on our decision to either fight, flee, or freeze, and does so at a much higher than normal performance level. For example, if we choose to flee, we can run much faster than normal. Fatigue. No matter how we react to the stressor, after a certain point our bodies will become exhausted and won't be able to continue. This stage is fatigue. We generally reach the fatigue stage after very prolonged exposure to a stressor. Fatigue can set in for a number of reasons. Physical fatigue comes from overexertion of the muscles, which often leads to pain. Psychological fatigue sets in due to depression or constant worry and boredom. Pathological fatigue is caused by a prolonged illness or poor nutrition, which weakens our immune system.
Select the correct answer. Jane accidentally broke her mom's antique vase and is now trying to pick up the pieces and hide them. Which stage of stress response is she in? Alarm, resistance, or fatigue? Alarm is the initial shock of having broken the vase. Then she decides whether to fight, flight, or freeze. In this case, the flight might be the repair of the vase, the picking up the pieces. That would be resistance. Fatigue is if she was tired after having gone through the alarm and the picking up or the flight. So it is not fatigue and it is not alarm. It is resistance. In the resistance stage, a person performs the action decided on in the alarm stage.
Effects of stress on the body and mind. Prolonged stress can affect us physically and mentally, so it is essential that we recognize it early on. Some of the warning signs of stress are headache, increased heart rate, perspiration, sleeplessness, overeating, inability to concentrate, impatience, and nervous or irritable behavior. If we ignore these signs, stress can harm our bodies in several ways. Stress affects our digestive system and can lead to gas, cramps, diarrhea, or constipation. It also increases the acid content in the stomach, causing stomach aches. Extended stress can also trigger asthma and headaches. Some effects of stress develop over a longer time. Stress weakens the muscle fibers in the heart and damages the lining of blood vessels, which can lead to heart disease and high blood pressure. Stress not only causes certain illnesses, but also weakens the immune system. The immune system protects our bodies from diseases by fighting them. A weak immune system will not be able to keep us healthy. Studies show that during the alarm stage of stress response, the body's immune system functions better than normal. However, prolonged exposure to stress weakens the immune system and reduces its capacity to fight diseases. This in turn increases our chances of catching minor illnesses such as a cold or the flu.
Stress affects us mentally and emotionally as well. It interferes with our ability to concentrate because our mind keeps going back to the stressor. This interference can affect our performance at school, work, or home. Doing poorly at school or work may make us think that we are destined to fail, when, in fact, our poor performance is really due to a specific stressor. Stress also causes us to go through drastic mood swings. We feel happy one moment and sad the next. This phenomenon is very common among teenagers owing to hormonal changes as well as academic and social pressures. These mood swings can affect the teenager's social and family life. Some people resort to drinking, smoking, or drugs as a way to relieve stress, without realizing that using these substances can increase stress levels rather than reduce them. Remember, the effects of stress are not the same in each person and vary depending on personality and the ability to adapt to situations and past experiences.
Select the correct answer. Which of the following is a common misconception about stress? Stress does not produce real physical conditions in the body. Stress can be beneficial when we need to perform better than normal. Both small and large problems can cause stress. Now, note this says misconception. If you didn't know what misconception means, that means a wrong idea about. We conceive it to be one way, and in fact, it is misconceived or misconception. So, stress does not produce real physical conditions in the body is a misconception. It does indeed cause real physical conditions in the body. This is an untrue statement. Stress does affect an individual physically.
Managing stress. To prevent ill effects from stress, we need to be able to manage the stressors affecting us. Most of us think that stress is inevitable. However, this is not always true. While some stressors are beyond our control, we can manage others. It is important that we can tell the difference between the two in order to reduce their effects. For example, we cannot control the occurrence of bad weather or the illness of a family member. But everyday stressors are a different story. For example, teens can feel stressed by class tests, sports competitions, or school plays or performances. These stressors can often be managed by preparing carefully. Several strategies can help reduce stress. One is planning and managing our time well, thinking in advance about our tasks, and devising a good plan to accomplish them always helps.
Here are some other strategies for reducing stress and its effects. Get enough sleep. Inadequate sleep reduces our ability to concentrate, which in turn affects our daily activities. Exercise regularly. Stress builds up nervous energy in our body. Activities like jogging and even housework release this pent-up energy. Maintain a balanced diet. Poor eating habits cause fatigue, reduced concentration, weakness, and health problems, all of which lead to stress. Learn to say no to a potential stressor. If you have a busy day ahead and a friend wants help with her math homework, it's okay to say no. You need to look after yourself and avoid the stress of doing too much in too little time.
Alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs do not reduce stress. These substances actually increase stress by making our bodies more vulnerable to diseases. Another stress inducer is having to perform well at an important event. Rehearsing the event in our minds or in front of others can reduce the stress and gives us the confidence and focus required to perform well. One interesting way to reduce stress is biofeedback. With this method, a health professional measures tension in our muscles in response to certain stressors. We learn how our bodies respond to these stressors and then develop a thought process that helps to reduce stress. After a while, we learn to recognize the tension in our muscles without the equipment and can reduce stress by altering our thoughts. We cannot avoid some stressors, but we can reduce their effects by practicing stress management techniques. Physical activity is a great way to reduce stress because when we experience stress, the nervous energy in our bodies increases. Physical exercise such as jogging, dancing, and swimming produces a positive chemical response in our brain and helps us release this energy. Mindfulness or meditation is another way to reduce stress. We can take some deep breaths or think of something pleasant or happy to take our minds off the stressor. Laughing helps too because it lowers our blood pressure, which helps us feel relaxed. The most helpful of all stress reducers is to maintain a positive outlook. Our thought processes determine our state of mind, so a positive outlook reduces the effects of stress.
This positive outlook is one way it is achieved is by being focused on the positive and what is going right. For example, our Greats and Appreciations works diligently at this process.
Another way to reduce stress is to build our resilience. Resilience is the ability to overcome a situation or to adjust to it. We can increase resilience by building better relationships with our friends and family, taking good care of ourselves, not being overly critical and overly demanding of ourselves, and becoming involved in social activities. If we still find it difficult to overcome stress, we should talk about our problems to a close friend or family member. Sharing our problems with loved ones will help us gain a better perspective and find the support we need. Another option is to seek professional counseling.
I highly recommend professional counseling. If you don't talk it out, you'll likely act it out.
Remember the list of stressors you made earlier? What are they? How severe are they? For an outside perspective on your stress level, take this stress test. Add up your numbers and see if you fit the stress description that goes with your total. Now look at your list of stressors while keeping in mind what we've covered in this lesson. Choose strategies you've learned to help you reduce the level of unavoidable stressors. And given what you've learned here, you may be able to avoid some stressors altogether. Finally, use your strategies to help you lead a happier and healthier life.
Question: which can be an effective way to reduce stress? Getting in the habit of doing things perfectly the first time? Engaging in a fun physical activity on a regular basis? Taking an antacid for stress-based stomachache? Studying extra hard the night before a test? So, things that can reduce stress effectively is engaging in fun physical activity on a regular basis. Explanation: physical activity helps release nervous energy and reduces stress. What do you do on a regular basis that's a fun physical activity? I think listening to music is a fun physical activity because I'm constantly trying to dance even though I can't. Question: why is it important to know the difference between stressors we can control and those we can't? We can neglect the effects of uncontrollable stressors and focus on the controllable ones. It gives us a sense of power to know that we have control over certain stressors, or it helps us come up with strategies to reduce the effects of a stressor. Well, if we know the difference of what we can control and those we can't, then we can come up with strategies to reduce the effects. Oops, I have to select an answer. That's right, an explanation. Awareness of controllable stressors helps us avoid them by using different strategies. Congratulations, we've completed the tutorial Stress and Health. Now, go back, review the tutorial or this video, and complete your guided notes. Remember, what you think on grows.